Hello friends and welcome back to the Dork side. I'm the Dork in the road and we got some work to do. I'm the Dork in the road and I want to be your internet writing buddy, so please consider subscribing. I just got a buttload of packages on the porch from our friends at Rocky Mountain ATV who are obviously co-sponsoring this build, helping us out with a bunch of stuff to put on the Tenere 700. I'm gonna get started adding mods to this thing and I thought I'd bring you guys along. It's not gonna be a detailed step-by-step install video, but I just kind of want to bring you along for the experience and show you what mods I'm adding to the bike, and hopefully that interests you. But here's the Tenere fully stock except for the giant loop Diablo that I added. Time to make it less fully stock. So I think I'm going to start with crash bars, because why not start with the biggest, hardest thing? Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward. 2 bars. They go on either side of the engine, obviously. The directions are really good, comprehensive. Make it very clear what you're using where. I like the color. So, great thing about Tusk stuff is the directions are so clear that even an idiot like me can install them. You know, it's funny, I used to think my dad was a wizard because he could look at a bolt and tell me what size it was. And I thought that was some kind of black magic or something. And it turns out there's just only like 4 bolts that are on any Japanese motor, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference between a 10 to 12 and an 8 by sight. But I still feel awesome when I guess the size right the first time. So we've got the bracket. Obviously, this goes up under the bike, and that's where the crash bars mount. So we're going to install this. Okay, first major step complete. The bracket that connects the crash bars to the top is installed. Feels pretty weird to be pulling this giant bolt off my brand new bike. Oh, I'm trusting you right now, Rocky Mountain. This is literally where the frame goes into the engine. So this feels weird. Crash bar, you can tell because they only go in one direction, so I can at least get this started. That'll help me. That'll just hang there for a second. Gotta do the same on the other side. There it goes. this feels sketchy. Over the washer, in with the bolt. Well, I don't have a ratcheting 17, but I do have a regular 17, so I'll have to do for now. So we're gonna line these up. They have little notches in the backside. And the bolt just goes straight through and into the bracket. Maybe I shouldn't have tightened the front up yet. Try the same down here, see what happens. Oh, perfect, perfect. It's like it's made for it, because it is. This was easy. It's the last step. That's all I need. Okay, so I'll tighten these 4 down, and then I'll retighten this bolt right here, and we'll actually be done. So I've gone around and snugged up all the hardware, and these, that's sturdy as hell. Feels like part of the bike. They're not super heavy, but they're sturdy AF. So that's impressive quality. I think they look great. They follow the lines of the body perfectly without adding a bunch of extra bulk or width, which is on a bike as narrow as this. Something that's nice to see. So that's the Tusk crash bars. Obviously I'll link them for you in the description, but see what else we can put on today. I got the Tusk top rack. Let's grab it. They use this kind of sticky bubble wrap stuff, and it kind of peeled off some of my paint here on the logo, but whatever. I'm just going to put stickers all over this thing anyway. So that's the Tusk top rack right here on the rear, and it's going to give me some mounting points for luggage. Big saddlebags like the Giant Loop Great Basin. I actually just made a video for the Giant Loop channel mounting bags on it in stock form, and you can get the whole Overnight Plus kit on it, so the Coyote bag works with fender hooks. But if you want to go with anything bigger, you need a rack like this, and so I'm putting it on there. Let's roll. Let's do it. This should be pretty straightforward. First step is to remove the OEM seat bolts here. There's 4, 2 on each side. This is a T30 Torx bit. That's pretty easy. The other side's exactly the same, so I won't bore you with it. Next step is to put the spacers they give you in each hole. Which, yeah, okay. It'll sit there, but it's not ready, so I'm gonna put the other 2 in my pocket. We got 2 bolts and a support on each side. We're just gonna put a bolt and a washer into the hole, through the spacer, and into the hole in the bike. Easy as that. That is a 6mm Allen, and we're gonna leave this loose for now. Just kind of get it not even snugged up, just in enough that you can count on it not falling out. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Now you have the top rack, line the holes up with the holes. Seems pretty straightforward. Basically this, you've got a flush mount bolt, goes through, needs to go into the hole. And on the bottom, you're going to put a washer and a nut. There we go. It's going, it's going, it's going. Sick, one more. Put the seat off, I seem to have a lot more room, so I should have done that in the first place. That's what a smart person would have done, but as we have documented well many times, I'm not a smart man. Alright, cool. Now we just have to tighten everything down, I think. So I tightened up the bolts on the top, and now I'm just going to snug up everything on the side, put the seat back on, and we're done. Dirt on this. That's it. She's on there. There it is, Tusk top rack installed. That is pretty minimal. I like it. Basically is all extra space because there was no place to put anything out over the tail, and now you've got room to anchor luggage or put a small tail bag. Pretty exciting. And it matches the crash bars perfectly. It's a few days later. The weather has changed significantly, but like Celine Dion's heart, the mods must go on. So next up, handguards. We're going to put the Tusk D Sport Pros on here. Let me show you this one funky thing you need to see. This is a pretty straightforward install, except they didn't have the spacers that normally come with it in stock, so I had to go to the hardware store, and I just got this black nylon because they didn't have aluminum anything. Supply chain issues, whatever. So, but that's just going on over that, which goes into my regular old Tusk bar end, and we're gonna put them on that way. I had to take the stock bar ends off. You just need a big Allen key to do that. Well, we're just gonna put that in, and obviously I'm not tightening anything down yet. You don't need the rubber sleeve with this because it fits pretty perfectly without it. I want to put the front part on. See, that's always the tricky part. We may have to bend this. I usually end up having to, but I've got just enough clearance for the levers as it is right now. Just barely. I do like that the bar is separate from the cover with these, because one, it just makes it easier to install, and two, you can replace the cover if and when you break it. You see how this is not flat? That's a problem. So I always end up having to put this in a vise and just bend it out slightly to make it fit flush. Otherwise it looks good. And with cheaper ones, you can just put the bolt in and it'll tighten it down flush, but I've never had any luck with that. With the Tusk ones, they're too sturdy. If you don't do that, it'll pull this out at a weird angle, and you don't want that. You want this flush, so I'm gonna bend this a little. So that's pretty close. I think the bolt will pull it the rest of the way in, so I'm gonna go with that. But it's much closer to flush than it was, so let's put the bolt in and see how this works. I just wanna make sure this is covering your lever, because that's the whole point of it, is if this goes down, your lever doesn't get busted. Also, this seems like a dumb tip, but don't forget that your bars move, because I sometimes do when I'm working on this. I've more than once been super frustrated because I couldn't get to a bolt I needed to get to because of the windscreen or something was in the way before realizing, oh wait, I'm an idiot, and you know, the bars move. Had to do just a little bit more bending to get this to mount relatively flush, but it's on there now and it's solid. Again, do not over tighten this because one, the hardware is not the greatest and you will strip out this bolt hole, and two, it'll pop off in there. It's just to hold it snug. It's not like you're screwing it into something solid, so don't over tighten it. All right, only thing left to do is the shields. And it's pretty self-explanatory how these go on. The little channel, 3-bolt or 3 screw holes. Tusk D-Flex Pro handguard installed on the right. The left side is exactly the same, so I'm not gonna bore you with it. I'll catch up with you on the next mod. Next up, a bunch of cool stuff from our friends at Touratech. Got some Footpegs, excited. This is a cover for the rear ABS sensor, headlight guard, got a radiator guard, and a bigger rear brake pedal. So let's get these on the bike. First up is the rear ABS sensor guard. This is pretty straightforward. It's literally 3 pieces. You see that? So I'll just take this bolt out and we'll replace it with this spacer and this guard. This is a 10mm like everything on these bikes. Spacer goes on the back. Just get that in the hole. Get it started. It just goes like this to keep this thing from getting snagged or messed up. Easiest mod I've done all day. Alright, that's one down. Next up is the rear brake pedal enlarger. This is pretty straightforward. It's the same tools, but you just put the enlarger over the top like this. This thing, this little piece, goes underneath like this. And it's also a 4mm. And then there's a washer and a nut that goes on the bottom, and that's a 10mm again. And this just squeezes it. Interesting. Just squeezes it, looks like, to hold it on. And it goes down onto the teeth on the top, so you want to make sure that's lined up. There we go. Cool thing is it still folds. That's neat. It still folds. Now, foot pegs. Look how much bigger these new foot pegs are. You can't see. Look how much bigger these new foot pegs are. They're much wider. I don't actually hate the stock ones. They're fine, but if I can get a little bit more width, I'm into it. In my experience, Footpegs are either really easy or a massive pain in the ass. So let's hope it's the first one and not the second. But there's a cotter pin here on the bottom. That's got to come out. They actually give you a new one, so that's nice. So we don't even have to reuse this. But you just have to bend it so it's straight enough to pull it out. This isn't the hard part. Usually getting the spring to comply is the hard part. So let's hope it's not such a pain this time. There we go. Cotter pin removed. Then you just got to get the pin that goes through out. That was easy. Okay. Stock foot peg removed. Now these are directional. You got the right side. You can tell because if the angle's wrong, you got the wrong side. You got to flip that over. I think if I'm reading this right, spring goes on the bottom and you hook it around the back here. See that? And then this just goes on like this and the pin comes back down through it like before. I have had to use like vice grips to get this done before. It's always, a hammer would have been good to have on hand. So it's the latter. It's definitely the pain in the ass. Now the right side's super pissing me off, so we're gonna try the left. Probably no different, but it'll make me feel better to do something else for a minute. I'm like, why is it so easy to take this out? Well, then putting the new one in, forget about it. If this is easy, I'm gonna be mad. God damn it. Really? Okay, and I don't really recommend hammering on this stuff. This is all soft aluminum. I've marked it a couple times there. It is a last resort, so use this technique at your own risk. My hand is bleeding on the back side from nailing this brake pedal all those times, but I finally got this through, so I'm gonna put the cotter pin in. I'm gonna go wash my hand out. Next up is the headlight guard. This one's removable. It's kind of interesting. So first thing to do is take off these bolts here on each side. And this is a 4mm. I think you don't reuse these. I think you get rid of them. Let's see. You've got a spacer and a washer, and this is a bracket. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I did some assembly over there on the bench, but one, this video is too long already, and two, it's not that hard. So you can figure it out, but a few of these pieces went together. But this is the bracket that goes on, and then it has this little holes in it that you can pop the protector in and out of. So you take it off whenever you want. Let's respect the spacers, man. This is the guard. It's just a piece of aluminum, and it's got these little nubs that you attach, and it just pops on like this, I think. Yeah, and so that pops off whenever you want it to, but otherwise, it's pretty sturdy. Got a little give, which is nice. You're probably asking yourself, is that really necessary? And the answer is no, probably not, unless you're always riding behind people that are kicking dirt and crap, big rocks up onto your headlight, but I think it looks cool, so I got one. Yeah. Sparkles, you know, sometimes they're more sparkle and less function. The only thing left to do now is the radiator guard. It's raining a lot now, so it's gonna be noisy. The radiator guard is easily the most involved thing because I have to take both fairings off. Here's hoping I can do it without taking the crash bars off. Oh God, it's like right in the way. I don't have an L bracket. I don't have a Torx that's at an angle. Careful, this might work. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. $1 Harbor Freight tool for the win. Sometimes that's all you need. These are just clips, not bolts, even though they look like bolts, so you just pop them out. Two. There it is. Turn signal. That comes out. Got her. There are two M5 hex head bolts, one on each side. Crash bars are like in the way, dude. Ugh. I don't want them to be. Come on, just turn. Just loosen. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Oh, I think you can get it. Yep. Okay. Nice. It's pretty otherwise. One clip right here that's gonna come out. And it doesn't want to. There we go. Oh. Ow! That is the stock radiator guard, such as it is. Let's hang it on there and see what happens. And there's a little shoulder on here that's got to go down into the hole. Now remember this sweet little technique, you know, from 2 minutes ago when I was doing it. Seems like we got through this without having to take the crash bars off, which makes me very happy. Well, that took a little longer than I expected, but it always does, because like I said, I'm no mechanic, but pretty excited at where we ended up. Headlight guard, the handguards, got the mirrors, tank bag, rear rack, rad guard, crash bars obviously, foot pegs, got that rear ABS sensor protector, and the bigger brake pedal. So a couple more things to do to this. I've got a tail tidy and maybe a high fender. I have it, I just haven't decided if I'm putting it on yet. And tires, pannier racks. I've got some pannier racks that are gonna go on for camping, but other than that, we're almost there, so. Oh, and I have a Moto Pumps GPS mount that's gonna go on here and a full quad lock setup. Those are both coming. But I just wanna say thanks to Touratech and to Rocky Mountain ATV and to Moto Pumps and Quad Lock and everyone that's contributed to this build. But other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll catch you on the next one. For now, and as always, please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!